Welcome to Redbeard Radio. I'm Brian Keith, and you know, if you've been listening for a while, that I like to talk with people who have done things 1,000 times or helped 1,000 people. That people who have deep experience in something more than 10 or 100 times just have a different quality in the way they perceive things, in the way they understand the world. And I want to get that knowledge in your head to help you succeed in your own business. And today's topic is, what do successful entrepreneurs do? And I've brought on a guy to answer that question and really looking at 2 or 3 or 4 things that successful entrepreneurs do that entrepreneurs who fail don't. I brought on Clate Mask, CEO of Keap, formerly known as Infusionsoft, because Clate, you've seen more than 1 or 2 and actually more than 1,000 or 10,000 businesses succeed and also fail, right?
That's right. Brian, thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here with you. Look forward to talking about it.
Yeah, you've seen inside. And you've seen inside the companies that are the wild success stories that you have to see to believe. And you've seen inside the companies that are struggling, and then they fail. What's the difference? Can you give us some principles of those companies that make it versus those companies that just can't pass it?
Absolutely. I'll share with you my top 2, and then if you want to go deeper, we can. But
great.
The first one is the successful companies are proud of what they do, and they talk about it all the time.
But isn't everybody proud of their company? Why is that different than somebody else?
You would think, but I'll tell you what the mistake looks like. The mistake looks like, oh, well, I already said that. Oh, well, I already shared that message. Oh, well, I already told him or her that. Or I already broadcasted that message. Or it goes on. And it's realizing that you must repeat your message constantly constantly and consistently in order to be successful. And that I see that holding back entrepreneurs all the time. And I believe the reason why they don't do it is because they're not proud about what they share, or their insecurities and concerns are greater than their pride about what they share.
Well, I would add something to that, which is they don't have the systems set up so that they're actually having to personally brag on themselves, which is uncomfortable for everybody.
That gets to number 2. So yes.
Well, before we get to number 2, let me give you an example, which is Greg Jenkins, the Monkey Pod guy, monkeypodmarketing.com,
yes,
the leading Infusionsoft trainer in the world. And with him, I created the thing called the Keap Starter Kit. So folks learning Keap, starting off with it, can get started off well. He has a thing called the Meet Greg campaign. And if you go to monkeypodmarketing.com and you opt in for anything, you'll get added to the Meet Greg campaign. And that way, Greg does not have to continually tell you, did you know I'm Greg and I'm cool? He has software doing it for him, and it's sharing stories. And well, how does he phrase it? He says, my nurture sequence is nothing if not, I think he says voluminous or something like that, because he just has the right tech in place, because he has Infusionsoft doing the back end, so that it's constantly talking about him for him.
You hit right on it. It's the systems. And the second thing that I see that successful entrepreneurs do that unsuccessful entrepreneurs don't do is have a system. They have systems that do their work for them. And when you combine the 2 things of sharing your message and having a system, I've spent nearly 2 decades in this business helping entrepreneurs to be successful, helping small businesses grow. And what I see consistently is successful entrepreneurs have a system for following up with their prospects and customers and their audience so that they can get their message out. Now, there's all kinds of other systems that we could talk about. My high-level general point is get your message out, number 1. That's what successful entrepreneurs do. And you do that because you're proud of your business. And then number 2, you have systems in place. When you put those two things together, you see follow-up systems. And as you've heard me say many times, follow-up is the difference between successful entrepreneurs and unsuccessful entrepreneurs. It is the thing. For a long time, I thought, well, maybe that's just because that's what I've done for 20 years, so I think it's the thing. But I have come to the conclusion in looking at it every possible way that you get right down to it, and this is what successful entrepreneurs do. Successful businesses follow up effectively with their prospects and customers and get the message out.
My buddy Charles Gaudet, he has just started doing Instagram a little bit ago, just launched his podcast this week, and he was emailing me once and said, man, I see you everywhere, after he got one more invite to a webinar that I was a guest host on, because I try to do that as much as I can. So I'm on this and that and the other thing. Yeah. And he says, I see you everywhere. And Charles' company is his podcast is called Beyond Seven Figures. But he and I have worked together on previous clients before who are using Infusionsoft, and the whole just be everywhere consistently. And so people can't escape hearing about you as you help them, right? Genuinely offering help, not just teasing information, but actually being of genuine service on a regular basis. And what Infusionsoft and Keap add on to that is in a systematized fashion.
Right.
That it's fairly easy to go on Facebook and be live every day in your topic area or inside a group. But how do you take that, or how do you take that out of Instagram and doing great stories and go actually systematize it so that you're delivering value on a regular basis, even though you recorded that 5 years ago?
It is. And a lot of times what happens, because people aren't super proud and excited about what they're doing, they get tired of saying it. And they tire of their message, and they say, well, people have already heard it, or I don't need to say that. Or they feel like it's somehow not serving people to say it. So we want to be good. We want to do good things. And we don't like to share a message if we don't think it's a message that's worth hearing. And that's why I started by, you've got to be really proud of what you're sharing. And when you're really proud and you're really excited and you know that your target customer's life is going to be blessed by having your product or service, then you want to share that message. And on the other hand, when you're not really proud about what's happening and you're starting to feel a little frustrated, and then you don't share your message very much. And it's so simple, it's so basic, and yet you ask the difference between a successful entrepreneur and an unsuccessful one, and number one, they're proud, and so they share their message.
Okay, so Clay, here's a true test of your almost 20 years of entrepreneurial experience. In 3 minutes, fix both these problems. What are the steps people take if they're not proud of what they're doing, or if they don't have systems set up? Fix them in 3 minutes.
All right. Quickly on being proud. You've got to, it actually comes down to making sure you're serving the right customer. Because when you serve the right customer, you get filled with enthusiasm because of the difference that you make. So the fix that I would make for an entrepreneur who's not proud of what they're doing and how they're sharing it, you've got the wrong customer. So look at your existing customers, find the ones that you loved that brought you a lot of fulfillment, a lot of satisfaction, and then go figure out the lookalikes of that customer. You can literally find the lookalikes through Facebook, or you can figuratively find the lookalikes through a number of different observation tools, that sort of thing. You want to find customers that you've had success with, because that will crank up your pride like nothing else.
And I would add to that, taking out of your time there, I would just add to that at some point, we're all going to die. And when our life is over, we can look back at the business part of our lives, and we're going to have some level of satisfaction, all the way from I wasted my time, at least I fed my family, all the way to I helped so many people, I'm so happy. And we get to choose largely based on who we're serving. We have that privilege as entrepreneurs.
That's right.
To choose and to choose our level of satisfaction when our working is done.
That's right.
We just have to consciously make the decision.
And exactly. And sort of embedded in what you're saying and what I said, maybe I didn't say it explicitly enough, but when I say you look at where you got a lot of fulfillment, well, you as an entrepreneur, it's critical that you read those customer success stories. You talk to those successful customers. You get filled with the impact that you've had on their lives, the impact that your product or service is making for them. When you do that, it's so fulfilling. It's so satisfying. And like you said, you can go to the grave at some point looking back with fondness on what you did during your business career. Those things ratchet up your pride. Those things cause you to then share your message much more eagerly and much more enthusiastically. So that's on the pride in your business and sharing your message. The system side of it, it really comes down to having a way to get organized in what you do and follow up with people on a consistent basis, and then automate processes as much as possible. And this is what you do, Brian. You do this really well as an Infusionsoft and Keap consultant. You help businesses do this. And this is what we do. We help people systematize their business. We help them get out of the mundane, disorganized, doing the mundane tasks over and over and over. Because what happens, people don't realize what's causing them to not grow and be successful is getting stuck in the chaos of working with prospects and customers, but having too many things. You start dropping the ball, things start slipping through the cracks. You're doing a lot of things manually with grunt work and brute force, trying to push things through, when automation can do that for you. So systematizing is really about the work of getting organized and then laying out your process and what you're trying to accomplish, then putting that into a an automation system so that you can accomplish your work without having to do it yourself. That causes you to find hours in the day. It causes you to have more work getting done for you in the background or while you sleep or while you go on vacation. And it creates more room for you to invest and grow the business so that you can be successful. So that's organized follow-up and automation in a nutshell.
There we go. I've literally come off climbing Mount Rainier to go see on my phone that I have another Infusionsoft powered sale while I was climbing, and I made money while climbing. It was pretty fun.
And I love hearing it. Speaking of the stories that get me excited and give me pride and enthusiasm, I love it.
So on systematizing, folks, you want to read my book, The Redbeard Impact Framework. You can get it free at redbeardimpact.com. And I go into the details of systematization for message, platform, and tribe. And there's a whole bunch of very specific details of things you ought to be systematizing. So go get that book. It's free. And then if you are not familiar with Keap or Infusionsoft and you want to hear about how to go systematize some more stuff, you can get a hold of me, redbeardconsulting.com. There's a button there, an orange button, to go get on my calendar, and I'll go walk you through some of the systematization kind of stuff. And if you do the work Clate talks about with making sure you're serving the right people so you can be really proud, then between those two things, we'll help you succeed.
That sounds awesome. Thanks for all you do to help small businesses succeed. And I think for people who don't really understand this world of systems and automation, it's pretty mind-blowing. But the reality is it's actually pretty basic and pretty easy when you have someone that's a guide like you to help them do it. So thanks for all you do to help them make it happen.
Thanks for being on the show, Clate.
You bet, Brian.